If you happen to live in Canada and haven't yet escaped, it's about to get a lot worse. That's according to a newly leaked secret report from the RCMP, that's the Canadian equivalent of the FBI. They warn that Canada's quality of life will, quote, deteriorate further in the next few years, writing that, quote, the coming period of recession will accelerate the decline in living standards, in particular for the young. They even warn of the, quote, end of abundance. That's just the opener. The RCMP goes on to warn this radical decline in living standards could lead to widespread, quote, disillusion with the government, to which law enforcement needs to respond. In other words, they're not just saying it's going to get bad, they're saying it could get so bad that once peaceful Canadians rise up en masse. The report was obtained by an activist professor at UBC who filed an access of information request. What they handed over is heavily redacted, meaning we can only imagine what other gems are in store for the long-suffering people of Canada. We can also only imagine what countermeasures the RCMP is suggesting to law enforcement. Given the redactions, perhaps they are actions or laws they imagine voters might not like. The background here is that Canada's had a tough decade under their buffoon Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. I've mentioned in previous videos what's happening in Canada's economy. In short, houses cost San Francisco prices, but jobs pay West Virginia wages, if you can find one. According to the National Post, just 1 in 4 Canadian families can afford a house, while Canadian wages have been flat since 2016. That's 8 years. The average Canadian now earns almost $18,000 less than an American, hence West Virginia. Why? Simple. Under Trudeau, the Canadian government has taken over the economy. Business investment in Canada has plunged by a third, while government workers are growing almost 4 times faster than the private sector. 1 in 5 Canadians now work for the government, so they presumably vote to make it bigger, and they earn 30% more than the tax-paying suckers who foot the bill, who, by the way, on average, fork over half of their salary. In theory, the government of Canada would see this and respond with new policies. In fact, they're building out the police state. From the authoritarian crackdown on the truckers back in 2022 to a new so-called online hate bill that would throw you in jail, potentially for life, if a judge thinks you said something racist or transphobic on Facebook. Now, that might give a hint of what's in all those redacted pages about how law enforcement might address the end of abundance. So what's next? Brought to you by Unchained.com. Canada's next election might not be for another year and a half. In Canada's system, the date is at Justin Trudeau's pleasure. Conservative apple muncher Pierre Poilievre is ahead in the polls, one reason Trudeau might want to wait. And Pierre is base enough to at least stop things getting worse, but of course Canada's state-run media from the CBC on down are working Pierre the way our own loyal state media worked Trump. Either way, a year and a half is a long time for things to get worse, and it's a long time for baby Doc Trudeau to impose whatever creative solutions the RCMP is hiding from voters. Okay, we'll be watching. See you next time.